All right. Well, another episode of Take Note. And today we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, and all around powerhouse of a person, Austin LaRoche, the CEO of Atak Interactive, a digital marketing agency here based in LA, but servicing clients all over the world. Austin's going to tell us a lot more about that. But without going into that yet, I want to kind of give a little background of Austin and then let him kind of fill in some of the holes. Austin's been, we've been friends probably for a few years now, and we've been confidants over the years. And through our time together, we actually created a little of a mastermind group where we have dinners together we did have dinners together every month before a certain event in the world happened that you guys might have heard of called COVID-19 and coronavirus. But yeah, I think you guys.
Don't forget that you let me into your basketball group as well.
That is very true. That is very true. So that this guy's worth talking to, because I don't let just anyone in. He can also play basketball, so that's a very important. He doesn't just BS. He can actually play. So it's another very important piece of background information about Austin. So. Austin has been a great confidant for us here at Carbon Law Group. He's given us really valuable information and insight on creating purposeful marketing, which is also something I think Austin's going to talk about today a little bit. And I want to welcome him to the show and thank him for the time. And without further ado, Austin LaRoche.
What an intro! I love it. Very nice. It's great to be here. I'm so happy that you started a podcast. I've already seen a couple people talking about it, so knowing that I got to be a guest here, just an honor. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rapid fire anything you got.
Oh yeah,
I'm an open book. So
you are. You are. I love it because Austin's gonna be great. Austin's an ideal guest on any show because he's got a lot of strong opinions. So that's always good to hear.
Yeah. Well, this is a professional one, so I might tone it down a little bit. No, it's funny about that strong opinions thing. I'll just dive right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
At a meeting after this, I was reviewing a marketing deck that somebody put together, and he kept talking about the client he was working with as like an expert in the field, and like the idea of calling yourself an expert drives me nuts. Like I was a creative writing major, so it's like show don't tell. But beyond that, I've always referenced this quote from Game of Thrones where it's like the king doesn't have to say he's the king.
Right.
Hey, if you tell me you're an expert, I don't trust you.
Exactly.
You all of a sudden tell me a bunch of stuff that I don't know about in your field, and I'm like blown away. Now I think you're an expert. So there you go, little opinion right off the top.
I love it. No, it's so true. I like that. I like that idea. It's show don't tell. I think it's a good philosophy for life.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we live in LA, a place where a lot of people like to tell, and there's not always a lot of show involved. And I think you've got to, because if your actions will speak. It's also, I think there's a comedian from Saturday Night Live. What was his name? He was on like a Saturday Night Live in the 70s, and he was saying that his whole philosophy on life is like, be so good they can't ignore you, and I like that idea, right?
Yeah, was that Steve Martin?
Steve Martin. Yes.
Hopefully we got it right. Otherwise, we're gonna be like one of those memes that has the quote. What was it? There's the one that's like from Abraham Lincoln. Where it's, but anyway, we'll move on. But thanks so much for having me here. And it's funny hearing LA-based agency when you first said this, because one of the big things that's transitioned for us is our lease was ending at the end of April, and so about March 10th or whatever, I believe is when things started shutting down, and I was this close to signing a new lease, a 5-year lease too.
I remember you showed me the building. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you sent me the information on the building. Yeah,
very cool building. Yeah, we were gonna have a little private rooftop. It was awesome. And I was getting so mad at our consultant because he's a details guy, and I am not a details person. Which that's like a quick tangent. That's the best thing you can ever do in your career, is get to the point where you can say, "Hey, I don't care about details," and everyone just goes, "Okay." But and you're like, but you have to. I just But anyway, so
that's a great place to be. Yeah,
I know. I don't care about details. And our consultant's taking so long on, like, he's picking apart everything these guys are doing. And he's like, it's a legal document. You know, he's like being really intense about it. I'm just like, dude, settle down. Like, it's gonna be fine. And that man saved me, because when all of a sudden this started going down, you know, my mom, it was in the back of my head. She's got this little saying of, you know, never make a major life decision in the middle of a crisis. And I was like, well, from a professional standpoint, we're probably in this. Let's take a step back. Like, we're not making a 5-year decision here. So we took that step back, and then we started working remote. And turns out I love working remote.
Yeah.
All those hours I was in my car, like, I can now exercise or walk or think, which is fantastic. And then, like, I'm just like, there's certain types of people, and nobody's like wrong for this by any means. I'm just different, where it's like they want to be in that same room and like feel people and hug them and all that. It's like, dude, I've got artificial turf in my front yard. I don't need that. I'm the kind of person, like, I see all of your faces every single day. It's awesome to connect, and I love it. I feel like I'm with you guys every day. I don't, the spatial part of it just, it doesn't mean anything to me, which is okay. You know, again, everybody's different. So I then started recruiting nationally, and it's been awesome. I've got this amazing technical marketing manager about an hour outside of New York, in Allentown, Pennsylvania, that area. Just hired an amazing creative lead out of Chicago. And I actually am bringing on somebody in a very convoluted situation who was like abroad in South Africa and still trying to get back to the States.
Wow.
So
Stuck.
it's you know, it's been really, and that's just been really cool. It helps us serve our clients, especially our national clients, it's at different times. And so I've loved that. I've loved just like getting to know people from different areas. You know, it's just it's been cool. So I found COVID was really fun for that. And now it's like, just hearing you say LA agency, it's like, we're like, I think by like this time next year, over half of us won't be in LA.
Right.
And cool. But it's also like, oh, now I'm also getting like a little nostalgic. Oh yeah, remember when we were in LA agency? That was. So I don't know. We're a B2B marketing agency serving clients nationwide, worldwide, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you guys have international clients, I remember. Yeah. So, wow. So you touched on a lot of things, actually, I wanted to kind of dive into a little bit deeper, because I think there's a lot there. The first one was walking. And, you know, you and I had a conversation about this before, and how you like getting outside. You like, you know, I know you like hiking, and I know you've taken some great trips during this time. Tell me a little bit about why.
Socially distanced.
All socially distanced. Yes, yes. Austin is very responsible in his trip taking. Let's all be, you know, real. He's masked up. You know, he's very good.
I've got a baby on the way. I gotta be. So yeah.
Exactly. So he's being responsible in his trip travel, and I think that's another thing I think we're all getting used to, right? As we realize that coronavirus is going to be here to stay for a few years, you know, at least. I don't think it's going to miraculously go away, as some people say. So I think we've got to figure out how to navigate it. And I'd love to hear more about like what it is about, you know, walking, getting out in nature. That what does that do for you? And is there any kind of connection to your business?
Yeah. So I think for me, like, I'm one of those people. I'm extroverted, I think, still technically, but I love some me time.
Right.
And anytime, you know, where I can just be like thinking and in my own head, I love. And so especially at the beginning of the coronavirus, when like nothing was open, I mean, trails weren't even open. All I could do was walk in my neighborhood. And I live up here in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains, which before fire season was excellent.
Yeah.
You know,
if it's not coronavirus, it's going to be the fires. It's going to be, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things.
Yeah. And so I spent a lot of this year like really committed to fitness and getting myself in shape, and best shape probably of my probably since I was 18, I'd say.
Wow.
And which is great. But I think just walking like clears my head. And one thing I was realizing when I was doing my walking is like, I thought what I would like be walking to like get like smarter in my business and be wise, and like that's where all my great ideas would come from. And really, all it actually did was give me time to think about all the other stuff, so that when I like could flip that switch, I was on, because all that other stuff was gone. Like I had thought through it, I had fun, and so COVID has definitely helped me a lot with boundaries in certain ways. I really like that. Like I know some people had struggled in COVID, and I feel awful for them, but I am stupidly competitive, like not like a normal person. Like I say things like COVID doesn't get to win, I get to win. And like,
it's interesting because like I don't when we play basketball, I feel like you're competitive, but not like, you know, in a too annoying of a way, you know.
Oh God, the guy who plays too much defense, that's not me. No,
yeah.
that might be a conditioning thing though. That might be a condition. No, yeah, it's not like that. It's almost like I don't want anything to beat me that you know, is beyond my control. Now these wildfires are definitely gonna be my run for my money, but I just kind of had this mentality of like, okay, this isn't ideal. I don't love being in COVID versus the way the world was before. I don't love that. But I accept things very quickly. And like you said, this isn't going away. So what am I going to do to make the best of this? And so I'm, you know, and I've spent a lot more time with my family. It's crazy. You know, it's that thing where you realize with your, you know, I have a 7-year-old son today.
Yeah. Well, yes. Happy birthday.
He was 6 for most of COVID. But you know, you realize like he's with his teachers and at school more than they're with you. And it's like little things. Like now, you know, he's after his virtual school, he's kind of like a latchkey kid, just, you know, playing around the house and stuff while I work. But in between meetings, I get to pop out and just say hey, and, you know, have some jokes, get a hug in. And so it's, I don't know. I just, I think walking was one of the first steps I made towards like, I'm going to start trying to walk like 15,000 steps a day.
Wow. 50,000. Wow.
15,
Wow.
15.
15. I was like 15.
Yeah,
I was like 15. Yeah.
No,
15 is pretty good though, too.
It's like walking a marathon.
I was like, yeah.
I mean, I do like to work too. I was doing like an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon. And then as I started training and I started getting a little bit more insight, I kind of hit a plateau with some of my fitness goals. So then I got a boxing bag.
Oh, nice.
And now I beat the crap out of a boxing bag every morning.
Nice.
Opposed to walking. But I think your original question was more about nature and that. And I think that for me, like I've been in kind of like a little bit of a hiking community for about 4 or 5 years now. And you run into all sorts of just different people. And like, if you ever like talk to like guys who hike in Colorado, all they care about is 14ers, which are like 14,000 foot mountains and climbing. And like, I just like seeing epic things. Like, you know, I like the payoff of a little hard work, walking up a mountain. I definitely like that. But like, I like to go places and like see like things that just, you know, make me go, damn, like how great is it to be alive?
Would you recommend, do you have any recommendations on hikes to take, you know, during coronavirus?
I mean, sure. I mean, the state's on fire, but, you know, I always like, I think there's like, if anything, when people who haven't hiked, it's like, well, what do you do? And it's like, honestly, you just walk on dirt. Yeah. It's really easy to get
slightly uphill.
And, you know, and then no matter where you go, you're going to be intimidated, right? You're going to have, you know, some backpack bro with the shirt off. You're like, oh my God, am I doing it right? Like that guy. And it's like, you know, it's like such an interesting community of people who are all sorts of like shapes and sizes and like different types of difficulties. But, you know, around LA, I always recommend in the North Malibu area, Sandstone Peak. Also a nice little, there's this cool little trail that you can take as a little side trail called Tri-Peaks that I think is like the best view of LA County. It's really? Like right to the north part. You can oversee like Point Mugu going into Ventura. I like that. But I mean, and just being in California, anything in the Sierras, Western Sierras, Eastern Sierras, Northern Sierras, like Tahoe, like, I mean, it's all the above, man. It's great. Big Sur. I mean, California is just the place to be if you love hiking, and you know, it's something I'm really glad I tapped into.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I mean, we're so lucky to be in California, right? I mean, we have amazing hiking, beaches, like, everything right around us. And I think,
before it burns down.
Before it burns down, before it burns down. I agree.
All those trees I love to look at are not doing well right now. So
it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
We get that under control in the coming years, and but yeah, that's another tangent we don't have to go down.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know how much insight we can provide. I mean, I can't. I have my firefighting knowledge is limited. But yeah, I mean, we were actually supposed to go camping with a couple of buddies next weekend, and I think we might have to scrap it because everywhere we tried going is now on fire or booked. I mean, it's impossible to find campgrounds too in California right now. So
yeah, I know we're getting way off track, but there's a site called hipcamp.com.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you can like find people like who have like really big acres of backyards, and you can find a place to.
Oh, the backyards too. Okay, yeah, that did find a couple places that look like just like people's backyards, but I guess that could work, huh?
I mean, it's cool if it's like off a cliff in Big Sur, right?
Right.
Anyway, I know I'm getting way off track. You wanted to see how that stuff would
No, it relates to your business. Yeah, I mean, I think because I've read stories about other CEOs. I mean, one that's a bit of a cliche now, but like Steve Jobs. I know Steve Jobs took a lot of walking meetings, and I've aspired in my past. Like when I actually had to let someone go in my firm, I had to I said, let's just have a walk and chat about this. Make it a little more conversational. Rather, side by side as opposed to across from each other on a table. And, it still wasn't that easy. It wasn't like that, the easiest thing to do. But I think it was, for me, I realized I got to be someone who's like out of my head a little bit and more like, doing something else when I walk. So that's why I asked. I thought, how has it kind of influenced what you do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it honestly, it helps me burn calories while I think, It's replaced the car in a way that's much more productive for my overall health.
Yeah.
And that's been great. I don't miss traffic. I will say I don't miss traffic, but I do like to drive. Like that's like that me time, right? Just like driving and thinking, and I do think I get some of my best ideas there. And a couple, I go into different like binges when it comes to working out. And when I was swimming for a while, I realized I started swimming. I was at a gym in downtown LA that was near my office. And so the only time I could go was in the middle of the day. And for some reason, swimming like in the middle of a work day, now that is where I got like my best creative like work ideas.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't listen to music. I couldn't no distractions whatsoever. It's just, so it's just funny how all that works. And you got to kind of bounce around and find the inspiration that makes you excited to do the next thing and to tackle the next project or, whatever really inspires you. You got to figure it out for yourself.
And taking those breaks, right? I think it's so important, right? I mean, there's so many founders, so many, entrepreneurs who are just like grind and burn out. And I feel like having that balance has been so helpful. And it's not always easy. I think it's, sometimes when you're on, you want to stay on and keep pushing. But other times you feel like when you're like hitting a wall, I think exercise or something like that and getting in nature is so valuable. So
many breaks though, like your meeting ends at like 11:55. You've got a 12 p.m. and you've kind of glanced at your phone throughout your last meeting, so like no emails are pertinent. It's like pop out and say hey to somebody else in the house, and like get out of it for a second and just appreciate the fact that we have that flexibility right now.
Right.
Well, right now, I mean, it's not going away. Going away.
Yeah. No.
I don't know where you are in your lease situation, but do you know any other entrepreneurs who or business owners who can be as effective working from home and working remote who are like, I gotta get back to the office now?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's crazy for people like, so I know a lot of lawyers who are trying to, going back. Some firms are saying, okay, time to come back. We got out of our lease. I mean, we're in the process of getting out of our lease. We terminated it early, and we're negotiating now, to get out because we're like, there's no way that we're going to continue here, and I'm not going to risk my workers for my employees for no reason. But we're lucky, we're in a situation where we can, everything is remote and online. Essentially, our computer and our phone is our business. So we're lucky, but yeah, it's interesting to see how that goes, because I never thought I'd be in this, but I never thought I'd be comfortable with virtual work. I'm a guy who likes the face-to-face. I like the quick responsiveness. You know, there's zero latency with a face-to-face conversation. You're going to have some latency with Zoom. You're going to have internet issues. You're going to have sometimes, you know, mics muted accidentally. There's none of that with, you know, the face-to-face. And maybe one day we'll get to a point where, you know, that's never an issue, but you know, with the virtual, you know, communication. But,
I was really worried about going virtual as well. I worked from home off and on for like 5 years, and I was terrible at it. I couldn't focus, and the real reason was because I wasn't experienced enough. I was trying to do more things than I actually knew I could do, and I was lost. And you know, I still knew how to set like right boundaries, right? Like I wasn't allowed to watch. I said you can't watch TV between the hours of like 9 and like 5.
Right.
Even if it's in the background. And what I learned was the main reason why is because if you do, then TV is telling you that you're a loser. Yeah. Have you been hit by a semi truck recently? You know, is it time to go back to school? You're like, you know, that was the old days back with cable, you know, before but really like productivity of being home. And I think also just being in a stage in my life where I have a home, and you know, I have a back house that I've created into my office. I created from everybody. It's a happy place. But I recognize with like a lot of my younger staffers, you know, people starting off in apartments with roommates and stuff, it is tougher. And you've got to be as accommodating as possible, and you've got to be able to help them, you know, with any tips that you can for you know, with productivity. But also, I do just feel like if you got a full plate and you know, you take responsibility seriously, and you know you need to get things done, it's not that much different. You know, it might not be ideal, but you're still going to work your butt off to get everything done, whether it's for your customers or for your boss or whoever, because, you know, that's the job. You got the goal, you know, even if it's just like a mini goal of getting done with your checklist throughout the day, and you're going to achieve it because you're an achiever, and that's what you do. Right. And so, yeah, I feel like that is something I've had to try and talk to my younger employees about. Like, I know this isn't necessarily easy, but like absorb it. Like, take on more work. I'm not saying to take on more work to where you're, you know, working overtime or anything, you know, crazy, but like, you know, utilize this time to like really challenge yourself. Look back on this time of COVID and say, not ideal, but man, did I make the best of it? Man, did I grow by doing X, Y, and Z, as opposed to, oh God, it just sucked. Man.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think you touched on something interesting, because I think that's something I think every entrepreneur and every CEO, right? Every founder, CEO of a company who have employees, who have people that they lead. They always like wonder, like, how do you motivate them to, you know, to take on more, because I have that in my firm too. I'm saying, hey, you know, I would like everyone to have some kind of initiative, some personal development or professional development project that they take on over the next 3 months, and, you know, then report back to me on what it is that you do. And I mean, I take classes, you know, I've been a transactional lawyer for 10 years, but I took a master class in contract drafting, because I feel like my skills can always be better, right? Your skills can always be refined no matter what you do. You know, Roger Federer has a coach, right? Like, people, you know, at all stages. So how do you have that conversation with your, well, one is actually, you brought up 2 questions. So one with your employees is with the trust now with virtual work. You know, I think that's something that comes up for everyone. How do you navigate that? How do you make sure that, you know, how do you trust that people are getting done what they need to get done? Are there certain tools you use, or, you know, how do you not worry about people goofing off?
Well, it's funny, because if COVID had happened to our agency 2 or 3 years ago, that'd been bad news, man. We were not as organized, but, and I know I've sung the praises of EOS a million times to you. For anybody out there listening who doesn't know, the entrepreneurial operating system, based on the book Traction by Gina Wickman, is something that our company adopted a long time ago, and it has us so structured that I'm just good. I know all the deliverables. I know, you know, the client hours that have to be hit. I'm looking at them every single week. And as long as those things get hit, I don't care if there's lunches or workouts. I don't care if they're being done at 2 a.m. I don't care. I have end goals. I have, people who are responsible for it. And I'm so grateful that we're this organized now, because I'm by nature not, I'm not good at like collective organization. Like I can organize things in my head for me, and then like I'm good, but that's not scalable. So I have to build systems around me and my weird deficiencies, and which is okay. I mean, it's fine. So the way that I do it is I have an amount of work that I know that I need done. I have deliverables and all of that outlined, and as long as nothing is missed, or as long as deadlines don't get missed or anything like that, like I just don't care about the in-betweens, like, and I express this to my team. Like I show up every morning at 8:30 to our team meeting, and I am sweaty. I've got workout clothes on, and I'm like, listen, this was what I was doing this morning. Okay, I've got a lot of other work that I'm going to do, but I don't need to put on some facade that I'm like, working all 18 hours of the day. I am a person. I want you guys to be normal people and do whatever works on your schedule. But they also know that if they ever, if a client emails us and I'm in the middle of that workout, I'm always immediately available, and I'm going to be able to take care of the problem. It's a little harder when I'm boxing though.
It's harder to type with those gloves on.
No, but I mean, but really, and when you set that example and you set that tone of like, guys, like this, it's okay. Like you can be a person. You can do this stuff. And now we've got people in all these different time zones. And I've got one of my employees, his wife is pregnant, so he's got like these different appointments that he goes to, and and then I see him like answer something in like 2 a.m. like his time, which is not at all asked. Believe me, I don't ask anyone to do that. But he'll reply and go, oh yeah, I was up, and so I was just trying to get sleepy by going through email, and I mean, okay, but as long as nothing gets missed, like I'm cool with it. Yeah. But I'm really I like the other question that you were asking about the how do you get everybody to come on board in that feeling of like taking initiative.
Right.
God, I can't say how hard it is. Like it really, really, really is. And the only real answer that I have found is that when everyone knows you own the company and that they don't, then it's really hard to get everybody on board. But if you have goals for everyone individually, if you have company goals, and I think you have to have one sort of superstar in there who doesn't have the skin in the game, who's just that person who cares,
right?
That bought in. And when that person's buying in, especially if that person can then manage other people, that is when the culture really starts to get contagious.
Yeah.
Because there's all those things that we all know we do, right? Like I won't ask anybody in my company to do anything that I won't do, which is probably why I don't have a cold caller. No, really. I mean, I have a really hard time with that, and I've said that from the beginning. I mean, years ago, we were trying to figure some stuff out. We had an intern who was doing that. I just wasn't very comfortable with it. I was like, I have a really hard time asking him to do that because I won't do it. And so when people see that you do that, and they see your attitude, so we, one of our core values that we have is, I am the problem, I am the solution, which is about just complete ownership of everything. So something messes up, and people see me in front of a client apologizing, taking ownership, and saying, this is, how, I'm really sorry. This is what happened. This is how it's going to get solved. And, no excuses, should have been better. Guess what? People know that you fail. And so we create a culture where I don't care if you fail. I care if you don't try. If you try, and you just kind of breed this group of people who want to do things because they know if they don't have that fear of failure, because everyone around them has failed. They've seen them fail, and they've seen them go, it's okay. But
I love that quote. By the way, I love that quote needs to be on a wall somewhere. Yeah, I don't care if you fail, but I do care if you don't try. I like that.
Absolutely.
LaRoche.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, put that one on the old tombstone. Yeah, but no, I get it. I understand it. And I do think, again, I think that EOS was something that helped us with that, because it's one of those things is like, I noticed is, one of the two principals in the company, like I have all these ideas of where everything's going. I know exactly in my mind where it was, but I had never actually communicated out loud to everybody, and not even my business partner. You know, and it's weird how it's just simply getting a couple things down on paper and repeating them time after time with everyone together can get everybody on board. You know, we got into a place in the beginning of 2018 where we just had some different things happen within the agency. Some different people would come and go, and we just knew it was time for a culture reset. Culture reset has to happen, and like that became one of my biggest focus. It was my biggest focus, and it was about year one. I want people in here who all like each other, because I think one of the things we all want to hire on diversity, and it's so important to hire on diversity. But what that means is hire on diverse backgrounds, not diverse psychographics. You can, if you get a bunch of people who are from different areas, but they share those same values and they like care the same way, like then you're going to be able to bring those kind of people together. You're going to be able to make that culture.
Right.
So that was step one. Like let's get in the people with the shared psychogram. And step two was let's get everyone, instead of just being, it's 3-year plan. So year two was about, instead of everyone just being, hey, we're all good people. This is fun. We can do team events and happy hours and get along. Like, what if we all feel a sense of purpose of where we're going? What if we all know we're in a boat? Sorry to use the same corny analogy everybody does, but we're all rowing in the same direction and we know what our oar means, right? Why it's important. And we did that. And, here we are midway through the 3rd year where my last goal is evangelism, is to where people just love working here. And I've always said that the way that's going to happen is I'm putting job ads up. I'm not going to say anything other than telling the staff, oh, by the way, I'm hiring. And you're going to see people post things on LinkedIn, like come work with me, or, something like that. And I've already seen that. And I even just heard secondhand. I was not in an interview, but an interview that one of our new managers was having with a prospective employee. He was asked about the culture, and he was like, I've never worked at a place like this before. And I only heard this secondhand, but I was like blown away. And because he had the agency experience, and, I think what ends up happening is we all just get in our heads of like, oh, this is how I am. Isn't everybody like this? But, when I start looking back, it's like a lot of work went into this. And also going back to that whole like failure as a means of growth, like we failed at this for a while. We were not a cool place to where we were not cool. I don't know. We were not an organized place to work that I think you would ever feel like an evangelist for before that. And that some of that's just trial and error and having to learn how to do that. But I'm happy we did. I'm happy that we have. And as a result, we're, twice as effective as an agency. We've grown twice as much. I mean, there's real ROI and great culture.
Right. Absolutely. Awesome. So I want to actually, talk a little bit about, take a minor shift in kind of discussion, but also about your team. You're talking about how now you guys have been hiring nationally. You've been hiring people, around the country. How has your hiring changed from what it was before COVID to what it is now? And how have you found these people? And how what does your vetting process look like now? Because I think it's something I'm interested in. I think probably a lot of other people are too.
Yeah. So I would say when it comes to the process, my biggest process is that I increase the talent pool by, because I haven't, the only thing that I've done differently is that I have the type of meetings that I would do face-to-face on Zoom.
Right.
And then with my job ads, typically I use ZipRecruiter because that's kind of more skewers towards more, tech forward type applicants. And so I'll put it in like 2 or 3 cities with the words remote. And the funniest thing about ZipRecruiter, they hate me. They call me every single day because they just want me to pay more money, post my job in LA, and then, and then pay more money to be the remote status or whatever. Instead, I have my normal plan, which is already like $300 a month or something.
Yeah.
A little ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I go nationwide, or I go to you're a lawyer, so you can tell me if I'm allowed to say that.
We'll edit it.
I post them in cities and regions where I feel like might be fun to visit when COVID's all over.
That's totally fine. That's within the that's within the rules.
But it's remote, so I'll take applicants from anywhere. But these are just where they put the job ad. Cities I like. So I put those up, and then my process is much different than a lot of other people's. We're a boutique agency. We've got about 20 people. But because I think you could hear from the passion of voice on culture, I am insanely hands-on with recruiting. I funnel through every resume. I do the 15-minute call. My next interview is an hour call about culture fit. And I go through all of our core values. I ask them a bunch of difficult questions. I ask them about their feelings about diversity. And like, who are you? Are you going to be able to come in here and hang? Are you going to be able to be a part of this boat? And are you the kind of person who's going to want to jump in and go, oh, hell yeah, I found my tribe. If they pass that, then I pass them on to the direct manager of the position, which it doesn't always go the way I wanted. I recently had an interview with somebody. I could have been this guy's best friend. He was so cool. We had so many things in common. Like I was like, I could grow old, like having funny sports arguments with this guy. And then I passed them over to the leaders who I have entrusted and with, different areas of my company. And they essentially, said like, based on what we need in the skill set, like this isn't the right guy. And I had to accept it. I don't want to. I still haven't even sent him the breakup email yet. I'm like so bummed about that. No, but I know ultimately, this has worked. I had a really good streak of hires. And I'll tell you when I had one that didn't go the way I wanted to earlier this year. And it was in one of the hard parts. Looking back, anytime that happens, I'm like, what happened? How did I miss this?
Yeah, no, totally.
Because
we've been there. I've been there too.
I was so proud. I was on such a roll. I was talking about my streak like I was going to get DiMaggio's 56. And I was like at 4. But what I realized was like it was pre-COVID, and just a lot of the applicants I was looking at were not really what I needed, and I found somebody who was a cut above all of the applicants, but that doesn't mean they were right. And so like what I've had to do is like just be stricter with myself, because I'm generally an optimistic person.
Right.
I've heard some coaches like Pete Carroll. I've heard him talk about this, where like he feels like if he's got like somebody with a little bit of talent, like I can make them great.
Right.
I've got the ability to do that. So I'll be like, oh my gosh, they said all the right things. They were great. And, I remember when we hired this person, it was like, well, we believe in the attitude, right? It's like, so we can't get the skills, then that's probably on us, right? And then the skills were just not at all as well as we had assessed. And, and it happens. Like it's going to happen to everybody. I'm never hitting 56, Joe's got that one.
It's interesting. Yeah. Because I think that's something that I think a lot of founders and, HR people deal with, right? It's attitude versus skills, and where's that balance? What's the right balance? I've messed up on that, where I hired for skills before, but then it was the positions ended up being kind of redundant. So I had to let someone go, and I actually ended up letting the person with skills go, just because I really liked the attitude so much of this person, and I felt that they could grow, but it's still, it's not always easy, because you still have to get those skills up to par, right? Those skills have to be there.
And it's the thing you're evaluating is, what can I teach?
Right.
And sometimes I think, you think you can teach attitude, but I'll tell you what I've come to realize, like for me, especially, you heard my whole, diatribe about, it's okay to fail, but like you have to own it. If you make like 4 or 5 mistakes in a row, and there's somebody else whose fault it is, or there's a reason, or this, that, like, I just found that doesn't change. And and the only reason why I believe that it could is because I feel like I used to be like that. And I feel like I had to kind of personally take control of my life and my responsibility, and where I felt like I was underachieving in life, and say, okay, this is all on me now, good, bad, ugly. And so I guess part of me wants to believe that other people can, but I don't know that a job can do that for you. I think it has to be something bigger than a job. So.
Yeah, makes sense. There's a lot of questions I could go into that, but with hiring, but I also want to be conscious of your time. Is there a certain
I can go 10 more minutes. I can go 10 more minutes.
Okay.
You can tell you asked me a question and I talk for like.
Yeah, exactly. So I have like 1 or 2 questions left. So this is about to be too long, but is there a book that you feel has had the greatest influence on your life?
Oh God, that's one I wish I got prepared for.
Yeah, I know. Just whatever comes up, it's like.
Yeah, no. I mean, I actually have an answer for this, and I always joke that my cell phone number is the oldest thing I have, but it's not the oldest thing I have, and I can get it. It's in another room. I'm not going to because there's a book given to me by my parents as I graduated 5th grade. It's very small. It's about this big. Called, hold on. Why did I just blank on the name? Give me 2 seconds. Let me set that.
Yeah, sure.
It's called "I Can't Accept Not Trying," and it's by Michael Jordan.
Oh, okay.
And it is this simple book that is the most insightful thing that I've ever read. It's very hard to find, because and I love it. It talks about. I still remember this one thing that he said. I mean, I must have read this first time. What are you in 5th grade? 10, 11?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He's talking about free throws and fundamentals, and he said, if you shoot 100 free throws and you make 100 free throws, but you do it, and I'm paraphrasing, but you do it with the wrong form, all you're doing is learning how to get really good at doing something the wrong way.
Right.
And it's like stuff like that, and it's like it's weird because it's like this little book that I think really exposes the sociopath that he is, but in a sweet way that is like really motivating. And so for me, I would say that's like definitely my nostalgic choice. Now that if someone's listening to this and going, well, I'm not 10, so I'd rather really be close to something that really drives me.
I think that's good though. I mean, because honestly, it's interesting because that quote you had at the beginning about how I can't accept you not trying. I don't care. You said I can't. That's the title of the book, right? So
there you go.
It had a lot of influence.
Other books though that I certainly love. I think Traction, like I mentioned before, is something that was a game changer for somebody like me. Was really inspiring. I absolutely loved the Bob Iger autobiography, Ride of a Lifetime, which is for anybody who's interested in any sort of business in life. Like, you can learn a lesson. I mean, the guy was CEO of Disney for 20 years and just fascinating stuff. But the way that he explains things and like the little nuggets that you get. I recently ran a leadership group and had them read it, and they were just like raving about it.
Yeah. So, have you read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight?
That's Phil Knight, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, no, I haven't done that.
That's the next one on your list. I'm telling you, that's the next one. That needs to be. If you like Bob Iger's, which was I listened to his on audiobook, and it was really, really great. I mean, amazing to see what he did. But I feel like Phil Knight's might be better, honestly, because what he did with Nike and the ups and downs and how many times they almost went bankrupt. It's very, very
That's
fascinating.
Cool. Okay, I'll definitely check that out. No, I've seen it. I've seen it on all the recommended lists and all that kind of stuff. So I think I love Audible. I go 1.5 speed. If anybody's I just can't, if you don't read as much, do the 1.5 speed. It's like, because the business books are just a little dry. It's something you can put on when you're walking. It's harder to get in your own head. I go back and forth between, do I want to listen and daze out, or do I want to think, and if I want to think, I put music on. If I want to learn, I'll put the podcast and the books.
Awesome.
But sorry.
No, that's great. No. So with the last few minutes, I wanted to actually give you a little opportunity to talk a little bit more about ATAK and kind of what you guys do. It's ATAK, right? As opposed to, some people say, I've heard Attack as well, but ATAK.
See, that's what it is. It's up to interpretation.
I see. I like that.
I call it Attack. It's funny. Our founders had some acronym that never made sense. At 16, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make sense of this. So I came up with this thing, accountable, tenacious, agile, and kind.
I like that.
It was one of those things. It was like, okay, cool. And then like, it's absolutely the foundation of our core values. It's how I live my life.
Nice.
It's just like, to me, it's really, it was kind of funny how this little exercise became something that like, I absolutely believe in.
Yeah.
And now I just got to figure out a better way of like saying that without, having to tell the backstory. I'm a little bit too honest with that. This is what it means. This is what it's always meant. And this is what, this is, but I am who I am.
No, I think authenticity is the best way to do it. But yeah, tell us a little about the agency and what you guys do, kind of who are the clients you guys help, and and then kind of like what your kind of certain initiatives are right now. I know purposeful marketing is one of those, but yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Atak is a B2B marketing agency. We specialize in different marketing, creative, and development. But really, I think where we try and separate ourselves from our competition and other agencies, because there's a million of them, is we really try to enable sales. We try and be a sales leader's best friend. So if typically our clients or like the VPs of sales at companies that in industries that I would say are just what I call unsexy. I'd say that to them too. They know me. But manufacturing, construction, signage, packaging, printing, all that kind of stuff. The kind of stuff that I don't think has traditionally got a lot of love, and we love these kind of companies because they're really a lot of amazing, hardworking people. And we're very client focused. Like, I mean, one of my oldest clients is my mentor, and very close. Another one of my large clients, she gets my son a gift every year on his birthday and every year for Christmas. Like,
wow.
We do go. I mean, it's that thing of like, I would never ever say that customer service should be a value proposition, and I won't say that it is, but I will say that we've been able to keep clients long term while maybe we weren't as good as I wish we had been. Now we are, which I'm very excited about, because of our ability to continually come through and be there and just, give a shit. Like, you're in the client space. Think about when you're a client. Don't you want somebody to give a shit about you?
Yeah. Right,
So, but when it comes to like what we do a lot of like MarTech with sales enablement, a lot of like marketing automation. We're a HubSpot agency. We only signed on as a HubSpot agency 2 years ago. We are now platinum. We are now platinum sales HubSpot agency, which is pretty awesome. We brought a lot of clients onto the software and really believe and love it. If you want to hear me go on opinions, let me talk about how HubSpot markets itself versus what it actually does. Next episode. But no, I do. But we try and take all these resources, right? Our development resources, our creative resources, our marketing resources, and our data analysts and all that. And all we try and do is figure out how we help these guys grow. And then we put our success and our responsibility for what we're doing on their growth. Because if they don't grow, then we go. And that's how it is. And I've seen other types of agencies, particularly PR, who just throw out a bunch of BS numbers that anyone can pay for. Like, oh, did you see the impressions this got?
Yeah.
Like, anyone can get impressions. You know what? Anyone can get website traffic. Anybody can even get form fills. Like, we try and hang our hats on SQLs, sales qualified leads.
Yeah.
If there's great sales qualified leads coming in, we built a nurture process for them. Then that's where we should be having our success. Right. And one thing we realized a couple of years ago was that what we were seeing with some of our clients and how advanced they were, other clients who weren't necessarily like smaller, they weren't, they just didn't know what to do. And so we created, and that's when I developed purposeful marketing, which is just a simple framework to help everybody understand, how to get the most out of their brand, their data, their audience, and then develop what I call a marketing to sales map, so that they know exactly to the dollar, to the effort, how they're attracting prospects, connecting with those prospects, closing those prospects into customers, and then delighting those customers. Yeah. And, we try and make it a real simple process so that anybody can, understand what that is, create that marketing vision, overcome any obstacles that may be in the way. Hey, we need a new website, you need a new CRM, get that all out of the way, and then really get on track every month to do what the work that needs to be done to build the campaigns that hopefully bring in, those new clients that, can help raise the current revenue with the current clientele, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Perfect. No, it's great. It's great. Great recap. Yeah, it captures, I think, very well what you guys do and how you guys have helped clients. How do people get a hold of you or get in touch if they want to reach out and find out more?
Austin at Atak Interactive. I check my email still. I still, if I'm still recruiting, I think I do need an assistant, but for right now, Austin at Atak Interactive. You can check us out, attackinteractive.com, ATAK interactive.com. Hit me up on LinkedIn, Austin LaRoche. I'm anybody has any questions, I'm always an open book. I'm also on Twitter, but I kind of just complain about music quotes over there at Austin LaRoche. But I
don't think I follow you on Twitter. I think I need to see this.
Sometimes I'll retweet the videos that we post, but maybe at Atak Interactive would probably be a better place for that. But,
awesome.
Thank you so much for having me today, Ponky.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
To talk. Yeah. That's the gift that keeps on giving to me.
Fantastic. Have a great week and weekend. And until next time. Thank you.
All right. Take care, bud.
All right, man.